So, Daniel, I was walking into work the other day, right?
Where are you now?
I was. And I was in one of those fuck-off moods where it's like, I'm only 30 minutes late to work. I'm skipping. I got my iced coffee. Like, what are you going to do, fire me? And obviously the last, row of cars before I walk into the building where I work is like the handicap spots, right? Because they get the best parking. And I walked by, and it's literally on National Purple Heart Day. And so I walk by this vehicle, and I see, combat wounded, disabled veteran, Purple Heart recipient, like little Buffalo Bills, fan thing on the license plate. And I was like, oh, I know who that is. And I was like, and knowing who it was, I was like, this dude is an above-the-kney amputee.
Wow.
Like, can you just imagine that? Honestly, think about it. Like, waking up every single day and being a Buffalo Bills fan. Like, I don't know how he does it. God bless him.
Wow.
I ran that joke by him. He's fine with it. So we're
okay.
good. So
Cool,
we're good.
cool,
No, we're
cool,
fine.
cool,
Yeah.
cool.
He would beat my ass if he heard that out of context. So it's fine. We're good.
Yeah, it's like the episode the other day. It's cool. I have an amputee friend.
100%.
I can tell that joke.
That's right.
Welcome to the Smoke Pit.
Hey.
So we have a fantastic episode today. Episode number 15, season 2.
Take 70.
Big things. Just living life.
Yeah.
And so we have myself, your host today. I can't fucking speak.
Yeah, it's been a
Dan
day.
Sharp. It has been a day. My co-host, Mike Sensi.
Hello.
What do you go by? Mike, Michael, Mr. Handsome,
You just call me George.
George?
Yeah.
My co-host, Michael George Sensi.
Yep. It's me.
And our reoccurring guest, Lindsay, last name redacted for her safety and protection.
And yours.
And yours as well. She will cut you.
That's right. Yeah, for sure.
So today we are going to talk about some of the stories and events that have shaped us to be the people we are today.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the things we've experienced in our careers and our training and deployments. And I had a better line for that for the last take. But
right, exactly.
Some audio issues.
Oh, man. I've memorized this whole episode by now.
Yeah, fuck it. So
Yeah.
I'm just going to kick into it.
Let's go.
Okay, so there I was, alone and unafraid.
Hell yeah.
Nothing but a K-bar.
Yeah.
No, I'm kidding. I was in a training exercise. When I was stationed in Quantico, I was an instructor at the infantry officer course, and we had a platoon of lieutenants, and we were doing maneuvers with them. And the British Royal Marine Commandos were training with us. Mm-hmm. Good group of lads.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, all like are fucking phenomenal athletes. Like they really do put us the same as far as like physical fitness.
Oh, absolutely, 100%. Yeah.
Because you have to remember, like, there are not that many Royal Marine Commandos, so it's not like the entire Marine Corps.
Yeah.
Like they go to their army and they pick like 12 guys, and the 3 of them that survive training, they're like, here's your Green Beret.
Right,
they're like,
exactly.
cool.
Yeah.
All right, now go join the other 9 guys. Make one squad. We're going on a raid.
Yeah, exactly.
And so we were doing training with them in Fort AP Hill. We got on some helicopters. We flew like 45 minutes down to that shitty army base.
Right.
3 types of terrain: uphill, downhill, and swamp. Much like my butthole on a warm Virginia day. But this was not a warm Virginia day. It was a wintry, cold Virginia day. I don't know how George Washington did it, my friend.
Because he's a man.
Because he was a man
Fucking
with wooden teeth.
That's right. Never tell a lie. What was that? No, that was Lincoln, right? Never told a lie.
No, that was George Washington. He chopped down the cherry tree, and he could not tell a lie.
See, there we go.
Yeah.
Are you sure it wasn't Lincoln?
No, Lincoln got too much change back from the grocer and walked like 2 miles back to return it. That's why they call him Honest Abe. See, I don't get laid a whole lot, so I just spend my time on Wikipedia.
Do you know I'm related to Abraham Lincoln?
I mean,
like,
I can tell.
Dead serious I am. Yeah.
Yeah, you have the chin for it.
I am. And that, I don't have a joke for that, but I'm related to him. It's a small flex. Go ahead.
No big deal.
No big deal.
Our executive producer, Michael Stedman, is actually related to Francis Scott Key.
That's true. He is, yeah.
The guy who wrote the... I
National
want to say
anthem?
My Sharona, but I know that was...
Yeah.
Yeah, and so, okay, there we were. We landed, we're doing operations, and we finally conducted training. And so we make a small fire, and the captain cadres come over, and they're like, oh, you can't have a small fire. Like, but we're bivouacked. Like, what's the big deal? Like, it's fucking frozen. Like, our canteens are frozen. I have nerve damage in my fingers and toes. Like, what the fuck's the issue?
Yeah.
And then we look over, and like something out of like Lord of the Flies, the lieutenants have a fire that's like 10 times the size of ours.
God damn.
Like, they're throwing like pallets and shit in it.
Jesus.
like where did you even get those?
Right.
Like, we stole them from the ammo nerds. And you look over, and they're like ran up the flagpole by their silkies.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, why do the students get a fire and we don't? Like, we're the instructors. Like,
Right.
you know, they haven't even earned their stripes yet. Like, we're supposed to get the creature comforts because we've been through the shit.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, okay, you can have a small fire.
Enlisted swine.
Enlisted swine. And so there I was on Fire Watch, which literally was designed for you to watch the fire and make sure it doesn't burn anything up.
Yeah, it's true.
And you know, they have it in buildings in case like something sparks, like, you know, EP's watching tentacle porn and like,
Using all the Wi-Fi.
using up all the Wi-Fi, modem overheats, and
Yeah.
sparks are flying on account of the brass balls that he has, you know.
That's
And
true.
so I'm sitting there, and there was a guy in our squad named was Timothy Payne, and this was in the late 2000s. I think it was like 2008, 2009.
Mm-hmm.
So we all called him T-Pain.
Oh, that's
Of
fantastic.
course, you
Yeah.
know, he was a black guy, so more fitting.
Absolutely. Yeah. Should have bought him a drink.
And so T-Pain is like fucking 6'6", 6'7",
Naturally.
tall son of a bitch.
Exactly.
And he's in his sleeping bag, and since he's so fucking tall, he's like closer to the fire.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there freezing my ass off. I got my fucking little snivel gear on, my hands in my pockets, I got a fucking burner hanging out of my mouth, you know.
Just full grunt.
Yeah, you know, like I don't even smoke, but like
Yeah,
you
right,
want the
exactly,
warmth
yeah.
of like the cigarette in your
Yeah.
lungs.
He went full grunt.
Yeah. And so I look over and I'm like, man, his feet are pretty fucking close to the fire. And right when I was thinking that, like a little ember like crackled out of the fire and landed on the base of his sleeping bag. And because, you know, it's military equipment, that shit went whoosh.
Everything's nylon.
And so he caught fire. And I was
Wow.
like, well, this is my Super Bowl. Like,
Yeah,
this
that's
is
right, yeah.
the moment I exist. So I ran over there and I'm like trying to like kick dirt on it, but it's not going out.
Oh, wow.
Like the whatever fucking JP8, you know, fuel that had been spilled on his pack, just the semen from,
Right.
you know, hot sacking it.
Yeah. Hot sack
Don't
in
pretend
it.
like that wasn't your semen.
Right.
I mean, it might have been. Yeah, I could shoot ropes in a younger age, but now as an old man, it's just
Epic
Dust.
ropes. Yeah.
and no, I got to save up for like 3 days before I have a lady caller.
That's right.
Yeah.
Like you're texting like, are you sure you're coming over?
been
I
building
need to
this
know.
up.
Yeah.
I've been eating a lot of fucking vegetables for this. All right. Yeah, and so it's catching fire now, and I was like, well, fuck, like I only have one option. So I
Yeah.
proceed to Wally stomp the fuck out of his sleeping bag. And I stomped the fuck out of it, and,
Nice.
and eventually the fire went out. And so I went to the top and I grabbed the sleeping bag and I pulled him like a good 2 or 3 feet away from the fire.
Mhm.
Then I went and I built like a little parapet of dirt with my foot, you know,
Aw.
because like I'm gonna have an hour to kill.
Yeah,
like,
that's true. Yeah, that's fair.
you know. So and I was like, also I don't want to have to stop him again because he is a lot larger than I am.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I made sure I told the next guy, I was like, hey, look, I literally had to stomp Payne out because he was on fire. And so keep an eye on it, you know.
Yeah.
And so we woke up the next morning and, you know, reveille, and everybody's throwing
hate that
canteens at
word.
the nerds. You
Hate
know?
that word.
And, you know, some people get off on that shit.
How?
Because when you're the one who's already been awake, you delight in other people's suffering.
Oh, if you're waking up the boot to do it, yeah, that's fair. But
Yeah, and there's just people out there who just delight in other people's suffering for no
True.
reason.
They're called staff NCOs.
And so, you know, they sounded the reveille call, and we're all fucking like trying to fucking shave, like cold, like dry
Yeah.
shaving,
Yep.
you know,
Yep.
like no fucking cold water. All our water's frozen anyways, but you better have a clean shave.
That's right. Yeah.
And so, like, I look over at Payne, I was like, yo, man, like, what the fuck? He's like, what you talking about, Sharp?
So okay, go ahead.
He's a 6'6" black
Yeah,
man
right,
called
yeah,
T-Pain.
fair
Like,
enough.
what you want from me?
Fair enough.
I will tell the story as it happened, all right? I'm not here to bend to your
Exactly,
sensitivities. And so I was like, dude, like, you caught fire last night. And he was like, oh, I was wondering why you were kicking me. I was just too cold to care.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow.
So you imagine being so fucking miserable
Yeah.
that another grown man is stomping you the fuck out. And you're just like, fuck it.
Yeah. Whatever. Yeah.
It's too cold to
if
fight
it's my
back.
time, it's my time. Yeah.
If I just got to
Wow.
catch an ass whooping, like, at least it'll warm me up a little bit.
That's hilarious.
And I was just like, man, I could fucking feel that in my soul, man.
Yeah. No.
Because it was like 7 degrees and raining. Like, it should have been snow.
Yeah.
Like, what fucking infantry deity do we fucking anger to have liquid rain and
Yeah.
it to be fucking single digits, you know?
Tiger of the mountains looks down on you.
Yeah, the 3rd Battalion 6th Marines just had this rain cloud that followed us no matter where we went.
I will say every infantry battalion thinks that.
Nope, it was 3-6.
You think it's 3-6?
Exclusively, because we were in 29 Palms. And, like,
Well,
one of the
that's-
Coyote
that's-
nerds
yeah, okay.
was just like, man, we haven't had rain in a while. Like,
Ugh.
and you assholes showed up.
Ugh.
And we're like, the cloud.
It follows.
No, because like the story I told on the episode like a month or two ago about how I did the split and I like fell face first in the mud puddle.
Right.
The 3-6 rain cloud.
Wow.
Like you fall to Iraq.
I feel like, all right, fair enough. I never had a rain cloud fall. It's 20 in Palms, so that's a hard flex.
Yeah, so that just made me acknowledge the fact that sometimes people are going to be too in their own fucking bubble. They're going to be too internal to care about anything else that's going on.
Yep.
Like sometimes you can grab somebody by the shirt, physically or metaphorically, and beg them to see the mistakes that they've made or how their actions are going to lead to consequences that they don't want to deal with, and they're not going to care.
Yep.
So I had to realize that throughout my career, like you would hope that people's better judgment would prevail. Sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes they're too internal to give a fuck about what's going on. Either the fact that they're on fire or care about why somebody's stopping them. Because I don't think I was silent about that either. I was pretty like, oh shit, paint's on fire. Like I was quite alarmed.
As you should be.
And I wear size 13 boots, so like it wasn't like he was unable to feel it.
He's probably just kind of like picking his battles, you know? He's like, am I going to get out of this like semi-warm sleeping bag and beat this guy's ass? Or am I just going to like enjoy the little friction I'm getting and warm up a little bit more, you know?
Yeah.
You win this round, Sharp.
That's right, yeah.
You win this round. Best out of 5.
For sure. Yeah, exactly, for sure.
All right, who's next?
Oof. Lindsay, I feel like you should be next.
Well, fuck.
We'll just go down the line. It makes sense aesthetically.
Ladies first, so I think you should be next.
I swear to God. Sick burn, bro.
Fuck off.
Wait. When have you ever known Mike to care if a woman went first?
Right, exactly. Answer the question.
Literally never.
That's
so
right.
That's fair, I guess. Well, there was one. I haven't had a very long career, at least like compared to you two.
Boom, roasting.
Yeah. Sounded just trading
because
shots.
I'm young and y'all are old.
Exactly, that's fair.
I've only been in like 5 years, but I do remember the moment I not only decided that I was going to be, because I'm an MA for those who don't know, I was going to be a
Master at Arms.
Master at Arms. I was
Military
gonna be
police.
I was going to be a better patrol officer, and I also was never ever going to do law enforcement ever again, as long as I live, because this particular night, it was a bad night. I hadn't been on the road very long, only like 2 or 3 months, and they already stuck me with a trainee. So I was trying to like show my asshole, and I was
What a weird tactic.
figuratively and literally.
Okay.
This is how you catch
And
speeders. So you
but-
get people to slow down. We'll go over and see a butthole in the
That's
squad
how you
car.
get
And then crash it.
That's how you run the stop signs. So we were pulling a lot of people over. I don't think the DUI we pulled over ended up being a DUI, but it was still a bad night. And we got a call that night also for
Dates and names, please.
a baby. In summary, a baby in military housing had gotten to his mother's high blood pressure medication and took the pills and overdosed on them. The baby overdosed on them, showed up to the hospital. He was alive for about 6 more hours and then finally went into cardiac arrest again and died. And the mom was young. The dad was young. They're actually both 19.
Holy fuck.
Yeah, and they were there in the waiting room. We showed up just to take a report. We don't actually do the investigations for things that happen off base, sometimes not even on base. And so we were just there just to take notes just for like situational awareness or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
The parents are there, and before we walk in, I kind of like mentally prepare myself to see, like, because I was young too. There's a lot of things I hadn't seen yet, and I wasn't prepared to see what distraught parents would look like. So I was just kind of like bracing myself, and then I walk in there, and I didn't even know who the parents were because there's a lot of people in there, but like you think you would look for the person that is acting the most like upset, and no one was. So I didn't know who it was. And then they like acknowledge like, hey, I'm so and so. I'm not gonna say their names, obviously. And I'm like, oh, okay. And I start taking down the information. The guy's LPO is there, and the dad is just like hoking and joking with his LPO. Like you would have never have known these two kids that their baby was 13-month-old baby had just died.
Man, that's deep.
Yeah.
And it was like I just couldn't believe it. And we went through the whole case. It was really hard. We had to go into the emergency room where the dead baby's body was, and that was the first time I've ever been like that close to a dead body.
Yeah.
Especially one that wasn't even like in a coffin. Like it was just it looked like a doll, like one of the dolls I used to play with when I was a baby. And it was horrible. Like, and the like the what a rigor mortis or something, whatever
mortis,
hadn't set in yet. Like it looked like it was just a sleeping baby, and it was very sad. And I got all the information I needed, and then I immediately left. I left it to the San Diego police authorities. It was their case. We didn't want to be in the way. We left, and I returned back to the station, and I report back to the watch commander, who's a civilian sergeant, and I relay all the information I got. And I think I didn't get something like stupid, like a last four of a social or something like that. Something I could have easily either gone back or just called the parents and asked them for, because again, it wasn't really pertinent that I got every bit of information because we weren't taking the case. I was like, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't get it. There was a lot going on at the time, and I must have forgotten. And he said, well, this is why women shouldn't be police officers.
Jesus Christ.
He took women being police officers out of me making one like super small mistake. If it had been a bigger mistake, it still would have been justified.
And it wasn't even your case, though.
It wasn't my case. I honestly didn't. And it turned out like the what is it called? Deputy Chief of Police was like, yeah, you wouldn't have even needed that information anyway. And I was like, and that was just kind of like the moment for me. It was like, I can't do this because I can't hold back from punching this guy in the fucking face.
100%. Yeah, for sure.
And then I was thinking about, I was like, if I continue to do this, like if I do it on the outside world, like this is what I'm going to be constantly encountering. And I'm not saying I'm afraid of sexism. I'm not saying I'm afraid of people being sexist to me, because obviously they have since then, and I just take it. But it was just kind of like, if I don't have to deal with it as a career, if I don't enjoy doing the career, then why am I going to keep like putting myself through it when there's other ways I can help the community and help people without actually putting myself through that?
Yeah, absolutely. No, 100%.
Yeah. So good luck following that one, Mike.
Oof. No shit, man. God. I want to say to everybody who's listening to the show, I was laughing when she started her story. It's because something EP Mike was doing. I just want to throw that out there.
I was just going to ask him to mute your mic during that. You have to call yourself out.
I know. I just want people to know. But yeah, no, that sucks, man. That's so fucking stupid. It's my first time hearing that story, so I'm processing it right now.
Yeah, I was just having like lighthearted stories about
right,
stomping out
he comes in with
dudes.
a goddamn atom bomb.
Yeah.
Yeah. Jesus, man. No, it's those stories should be told, obviously, but that shit is so fucking stupid. Okay. You got what kind of story you guys want?
Preferably a lighthearted one.
Yeah, well, because all right. Well,
We said the thing about.
do you want to hear that one right now?
I think that's a good one. I think.
All right.
I mean, it's disturbing, but
It's super disturbing.
But most things you say are. So.
I know that's fair, but as far as like, I don't know how I can tie it into what Dan pitched for like just defining moment careers, I guess.
Oh, if it's something that you carry with you.
Oh, for sure. All right, I'm gonna tell the story.
Here we go.
So
Another beer gone.
What's happening?
He's having a day.
I'm having a fucking day. So I come back from deployment, right? First deployment, 2010, 2011 timeframe. And the guy I'm telling the story about, he came back Advon. So he'd been back, a month and a half, 2 months before everybody else. And I'm having a day. And so he comes into my office. Obviously, I'm the battalion RP, so he comes into my workspace and he's like, "Hey, man, his chap's around. I need to talk." And I'm like, "Yeah, he's at the staff and O meeting right now. He'll be back. 10, 15 minutes. You have a seat and fucking we can bullshit while he's out." He's okay. And he's sitting there and he's like crazy nervous. And again, I'm the battalion RP, so everybody knows me. Everybody's cool with me.
Yeah.
But this guy is like super nervous, won't talk to me, won't look at me. I'm like, "Bro, like, are you okay? Like, for real?" And he's like, "Yeah, I'm good. I'm good." He's like, "It's just, I have a fucked up situation." I was like, "Well, being, an RP in the Navy, we also have 100% confidentiality as well as chaplains. We can't mentor, but we can listen. That's literally all we can do." and we can't release the information. He's
Yeah,
like,
and slight details have been changed to protect that confidentiality.
yeah, 100%. No, this is, you'll listen. So, so obviously no names or anything, but so he was like, okay, he's like, so I did something while I came back. I had Vaughn, and I'm kind of just, fucked up about it. I was like, well, fucking, let's hear it out, bro. Let's go. And he's like, well, I went home on leave, obviously, before everybody else, and I just found out this girl's pregnant, and she's asking for money. I'm like, that sucks, man. That happens. We literally have pamphlets for this kind of thing, And he's like,
I don't think you have pamphlets for this.
No, nobody does. And again, people who have served with me know this story, so they're cringing right now because I tell the story a lot in the field. And in the field, nothing to do. And he's like, I don't know. He's like, I don't know. It's different. He kept like alluding. It's like, it's different. I was like, okay, what the fuck is so different about your story? And he's like, so the girl, the woman I got pregnant was my mother.
Oh.
What?
And he was like, and excuse me, I was like, stepmother. I'm like, please be a hot stepmom kind of thing. And he's like, nope, biological, blood related. And I was like, word. I was like, well, the chaplain will be back any minute now. I was shooketh. So
to my core.
To all the corps. And so to the Marine Corps. And so I sat there.
Was he a Marine?
100%.
Oh my God.
And I won't tell you what section you work with, but offline I will, and it'll make sense.
Probably admin.
No, I won't say, but it'll make sense when I tell you. And so I'm just kind of staring at him like, okay. And he's like, okay. And I'm like, okay. and then, so the chaplain I had at the time was super, like one of those like super bubbly, optimistic chaps. He's like, hey, RP. I'm not going to say my rank because it gives a time frame. He's like, hey, RP. He's like, do I have anything? And I'm like, yeah. I was like, you can talk to this guy like right now. And he's like, okay, cool. Hey, what's going on, Marine? And they go into his office. He's in there for honestly probably about 10 minutes. Not long at all.
Yeah, that's not long at all.
At all, especially for chaplains fucking talk all day. And they opened the door and they shook hands, and old boy gave me a fist bump. He's like, thanks, RP. I'm like, yeah, man. And he took off, and I went in there to the chaplain's office. I was like, are you okay? And he looked at me and goes, are you okay? And I was like, I'm not doing well at all. And he's like, all right. He's like, finish up what you have to do. It was like almost lunchtime. He's like, then just take the rest of the day. And I was like, thanks so much, chefs. Yeah. And so I literally I went to lunch and I went back in my barracks room and just like bathed in vodka. So apparently what he had told me was he went home. He was like drinking a lot, come back from deployment, you know how it is, and he just blacked out one night and just like at a big get together and apparently hooked up his own mother. So
can you say it one more time?
Yeah, hooked up with his own mother. And not only did he do something that's crazy illegal, but the mom had the gall to literally demand money. Like she was like one of those. It was the weirdest thing. So if you guys want to be RPs, go ahead. It's I say that to say you can't save everybody, and I said it a lot like pertaining to like suicide and like wrong life decisions. But when it comes to people just being weird and like having their own agenda, you can't save everybody. So that's when I realized as an RP, like take everything in stride, do what you can, carry the weight, but don't feel like you have a savior complex because you can't save everybody.
Well, in a not necessarily a lighter note,
sure.
I'm really glad that a lot of people have been contacting me to talk, and stuff like that. And I just really hope you guys aren't stopping the conversation with me,
right?
Too, because stuff like that, like what me and what Mike has been doing for years, we can listen, but we aren't really trained to give you the full help and support that you need. So talking to us gives you the first step, but talking to a professional is ultimately going to be the best decision. I'm glad you guys are talking to me. Keep doing it, but also keep making other moves that you need to do, because you can't fix everyone, you can't fix everything, but you can try.
100%.
So.
Nice. Yeah, definitely remember that with any kind of first responder, whether it be for mental health or physical health, the idea is to stabilize and then transport to the next echelon of care.
100%.
So, if I had a Marine came up to me and they're like, hey, Sergeant Sharp, like I'm feeling suicidal, I'm like, fuck, now I'm implicated.
100%.
Like,
100%.
Like, don't get me wrong, I'm glad that they said that, but at the same time, if like they come up to me and they're like, hey, knowing the fucking high speed, low drag class that you gave me, I would like to talk to the chaplain.
Yeah,
and I
yeah.
can just be like, do, and ferry him off to the chaplain and be like, hey, sir, this Marine's got to talk to you.
Yeah, yeah.
And then I go home and beat off.
Exactly, yeah.
But nope, now I got to be the one to take him to the ER
That's
and
right.
like check him in and all that stuff because I was the first point of contact.
100%.
So now I can't leave that Marine.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's the worst.
I get it. And so perfectly happy that they said that. But and if you do have someone come to you, it's very important that you don't just try to fucking what's that Navy expression? We're like gun decking.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's very important you don't gun deck it. Like, yeah, you saw one Lifetime movie. You
Lindsay's
hear,
so happy.
I know that one.
Yeah, exactly.
yeah, and gun decking basically is like doing shoddy maintenance and just saying it's good. Like, hey, did you service the vehicles or whatever? Oh yeah, totally. Wink, wink.
Right.
Oh yeah, like Bill Cosby did. That's
Oh,
why he got
jeez.
kicked out of the Navy. That's why he got kicked out.
I know.
Yeah.
He was an honorary chief, so was.
Yeah, and so you have to remember that, like, in a situation like that, if you don't know what you're doing, you should really look into it, or at least acknowledge you don't know what you're doing, because you don't want somebody when the first time that they reach out to talk to somebody about that, and they get like a really shitty feedback, and like, oh well, I'm never going to talk to anybody again, because like, say you're taking a detainee and you're handing him off to me, and I ask did you search him? What's better, a good search or no search? Or, I'm
Right.
sorry, a bad search or no search?
Right.
No search is better, because if you tell me, yeah, I searched him, but you did a shitty job, and there's intel, a fucking trigger switch, a weapon, drugs, fucking whatever the case is that you missed, but you told me you searched him, I'm going to think that he's good, but he's not. So the important thing is being able to get that person the next echelon of care. And so if somebody came to me, I'm like, all right, so this is who we need to talk, take you to. This is who, you need to talk to, whatever the case is.
Right.
So whether you're on one side of that spectrum or whether you're on the other side of the spectrum, you need to acknowledge that. And if you are the person who is having the struggles and the problem, just being honest with you, it's not fair just to continuously dump all your problems on one person, especially if they're not qualified to deal with it.
Yeah.
It's always good to reach out and talk to people you care about and that care about you, about your issues. It helps vent, relieve some of the buildup that can ultimately come to a catalyst. But if you know somebody is not prepared to handle that, like, do yourself a favor and acknowledge the fact that that's not the end all be all. You can't expect this one person who's not trained to be your savior,
Yeah.
Right.
You have to get to the next echelon of care.
100%.
And then asking a professional who that may be, or even looking it up for yourself on Google. Be like, I am feeling suicidal. What should I do?
Right.
Boom. National Suicide Prevention number, Young Michael,
Yes, sir.
we have a story to tell that we owe the fans.
We do. And they were asking for it, so we're going to deliver.
Okay.
Okay. Do you want
So-
to you want to just do it from your end? I tell my end, and then we
Yeah.
come together on Lindsay's after action.
I'm so excited to hear it again. I'm gonna
Okay,
step back
so
really quick.
a long, long time ago in a galaxy far away,
Truth.
Mike and I have known each other for quite some time now.
Yup.
And a while back, we had both been talking to the same girl, and nothing had really serious had happened. We were just kind of like maybe like some harmless flirting, a little back and forth. Nothing was set in stone. And the thing is that we saw like that she had followed both of us, and that she'd either like or comment on her pictures, and so us being friends, it would get brought up like, oh hey, how do you know that girl?
100%.
And there's no contention there. We're both grown adults, and at the end of the day, I'd rather him get some than nobody gets some. So it's a team effort,
Fair enough.
Like if you're at a bar and you see the girl you're trying to get at is looking at your homie more, step aside, check your ego. And so I've been talking to this girl for a while. We finally met up and had taken her out on a few dates. Like we were having a good time, and then eventually, like the time was that she was gonna like come over and like spend the night. Like things are gonna happen.
That's right.
And so she messages me and she's like, "Oh man, like I'm really in the mood for lasagna." And I was like, "All right, well, store bought or homemade?" And she's like, "Oh, homemade would be so much better. I was just gonna buy some, store bought or whatever." I was like, "All right, I got you." So we went to the grocery store. I bought like fucking like $90 worth of groceries. Like instead of ground beef, I got like ground elk. Like I was getting all the bougie cheeses. I got a bunch of wine.
How cheesy is your
like,
finest cheese?
Exactly. We went to Artisan Cheese Center. Like, you know, you go to the fucking Piggly Wiggly or the Food Lion, all you
Right,
get is
yeah.
shredded cheese
That's
and
right.
like Kraft singles. No, we went to a place that sold crackers
Yeah.
with the cheese in the same location.
Whew, you fancy.
The fucking Trader Joe's up in this shit, you
Yeah,
know?
that's right.
And so we got all this fucking fancy ingredients, came back, made this bomb ass fucking lasagna that when you like cut it, this cheese stretched like 4 feet, like a Ninja Turtles movie.
Hell yeah.
It was fucking awesome.
Hell yeah.
Had a fantastic night. We talked about the fucking universe and our souls and like and everything, you know?
Yeah, right.
No, legitimately.
No, I know you did. That's why I'm laughing.
Yeah, I mean, y'all listen to podcasts. Like, I say some profound shit on occasion.
Annika, yeah.
But not really.
Yeah.
I mean, it, and
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
and so we had a great night. And so she spent the night, and the next morning, she's leaving, and her car window had been broken out. And she turned into like a completely different person.
Right.
She was like screaming and carrying on and like saying like fucking obscenities that I'm not going to repeat on the show.
Okay.
They were very offensive. And I was like, yo, you got to chill with that. Like, I don't need my neighbors like slashing my tires.
Right.
And so I felt bad because she was like, oh, I'm about to deploy. Like, I can't afford to like go home and see my brand new like newborn niece. And so like that shit made me feel bad. And I'm the type of person that if I have like the ability to help somebody that I care about, and I'm going to do it, you know? If
Yeah.
I can take a burden away from you and carry that burden for you so that way you can have a better life, that's what I'm going to do. So I found an auto body shop that was open, that had the window, took there, got it repaired, pay for it all. So she didn't have to like call her insurance and get it put on that, and like took care of everything, right? Then, so I sent Mike a picture, and I was like, hey man, that girl, you know, because he and I had been talking about this girl, so something had happened, so it's important to brief the squad, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
And so I sent him a picture, and I was like, hey man, like that girl's fucking window had got busted out.
Yeah.
And I'll let you take it from there.
For sure. So we're going to rewind even further than that to one day prior. So, again, this girl...
Oh, wait, I completely left out the fact that we were supposed to hang out.
Yeah, I was going to cover it.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So, again, me and Dan found this out together. We played detective. And so this girl was different the way she treats Dan than she treats me. Obviously, two different people. And so she would always send me like aggressive like DMs and snaps and stuff. And I'm just like, okay, whatever. And I wasn't really interested in her. She seemed nice and she seemed fun. And I know Dan had been talking to her and stuff. So my interest was not super there. And then randomly on a Tuesday, she hit me up because, you know, I got off work and I was watching a movie in my underwear like I always do. And she's like, can I come over and hang out, blah, blah. And I was like, you know what, fine, whatever. And so she comes over. And she's like, oh, I came straight from work. I'm so hungry. Like I haven't eaten anything. And I was like, okay, well, what do you want? I don't have much food ever. And because I always DoorDash. And she's like, you know what sounds great? Lasagna would be really good right now. And I was like, okay, word. And like, so I literally DoorDashed her lasagna. And it was like shitty when it got there. And, you know, the garlic bread was hardly even bread at that point. And so she wolfs down this lasagna and she's like, I'm barely paying attention to her. She's just like kind of hanging out. And she's like, let's get drunk. And, you know, I'm a sailor on a Tuesday. So I'm like, yeah, of course. And so she like goes behind my bar and she's like getting like the top shelf stuff. I'm like, oh, okay, cool it, but all right. And so we're like doing shots and stuff. And she's kind of talking over the movie I was watching. I wasn't super into that, but whatever. And so then eventually she like comes close to me, and I'm kind of like, okay, there's implications. She wants.
You
things
may
to
mount.
happen. You may mount. I was so lazy. I put zero effort, and I was even pretty rude. And so the deed happens. It was fine. She was a cool chick at the time and everything. And yeah, so then she leaves, and that was that. And then come to find out through me and Dan's detective work that she was supposed to hang out with him that day, but then canceled on him, came and hang out with me.
Like super last minute too.
It's super last. Yeah.
She was like, hey, I'm on my way.
Yeah. Oh god.
And then she got the message from Mike and was like, skirt.
I did no. Again, she
Flipped a
messaged me
bitch in the middle of
first.
the
Is what I'm
road.
saying, which is, if she was on the way to see you, then she messaged me first. That's so fucking weird. And so me and Dan put this together, and so the first thing, obviously, the glaring thing here was like she had lasagna 2 days in a row. Like this bitch, fucking Garfield. Like who eats that much lasagna? it's such a weird diet to have. And second, like, yeah. And so we were putting this together, and then like obviously Dan was upset, I was upset, like we both kind of played like, I mean, we're friends, like why would we not talk about this kind of thing? And then
Yeah, because I don't care that you guys hooked
Yeah,
up. I
yeah.
care that she
It's
lied to me about
100%. Yeah, and I didn't know that either, and so we're both upset. And then I was kind of like, you should message her whose lasagna was better. And then Dan was like, again, being the nice gentleman he is, he's like, nah. And I was like, do it. And he's like, okay.
it. Yeah, he just flashed me a nipple, and I was
That's
like,
right, yeah,
you
yeah.
have a compelling argument.
Yeah, and so he asked her whose lasagna, and what did she respond to that?
She typed ours, and then it was like ... stop ... stop ... stop. I'm so sorry.
And so then she messaged me on Snapchat because I don't have her phone number because I don't care about this human being. And she messaged me on Snapchat and she was like, "You told Dan?" I was like, "First, I tell Dan everything. Like check yourself." And then she's like, "I can't believe it. You've ruined me and Dan's friendship. You're the worst." And I was like, "Can we just pump the brakes here for a second? You realize you're in the wrong here, right?" And then she was like, no. She's like, "Way to make my day worse, blah, 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 like this and that." And she went off on me and blocked me on all these things and stuff. And yeah, so Lindsay, as the female in this equation, what the fuck is going on there?
What I'm hearing right now is, first off, she was a young but legal young buck, right?
Wow, yeah, 1,000%
Yes.
legal, yes.
Yeah.
What a weird opening there.
I'm just like,
She was
saying
younger,
it
yeah, for sure.
emphasis.
Yeah.
So she's broke.
Okay.
So she's probably broke, trying to get free meal.
Free lasagna.
The hoe really likes her some fucking pasta.
Jesus.
Some cheesy ass pasta. She doesn't like doing it much work herself.
Right.
So free meal,
Okay.
free dick,
Sure.
Free
free
alcohol.
wine,
Yeah.
free decent conversation because you don't have that
I
much to
barely
say.
talked.
I mean, she saw it as a win-win on both parts, I guess.
Sure.
And she really, for whatever reason, really seemed to be ignorant to the fact that all guys pretty much talk about is their conquest,
Sure.
and that's it.
I mean,
Yeah.
I like to think me and Dan cover a little more, but all right.
Yeah, and,
I'm sorry. You talk about alcohol.
Thank you so much.
yeah, and we've alluded to this on the show before that all men brag about their conquests, and the advice that I give my younger sisters, stay away, you perverts.
Right. Big point.
Yeah, is that it's either one of two ways. Either, yeah, man, I fucked this bitch, blah, blah, blah. Or it's like, yo, this girl came over. She was super cool. She was funny. She was chill. We had a good time, you know? And so you really have to kind of like ask yourself, like, how much do you value yourself and what kind of this person is?
Right.
And how are they going to talk about you when they leave? Because they are going to talk about you
100%.
in one way or another. I mean, there might be discretion involved depending on the situation.
Yeah.
But to assume that one guy is gonna like know that his best friend is interested in a girl was recently just give her the porkening
The porking.
and then be like, sucks to suck.
Yeah.
Like if you're not first, you're last. And then just to remain silent.
Yeah.
Like that, I just thought that was rude.
It's like the rudest thing I've ever encountered. Yeah.
Yeah, to like cancel on one person to go
Right.
sleep with like their best friend.
Yeah, exactly. The dude, and I like, I'm not a pig, but I'm not a good person. It's like, so for you to cancel on a legit good person to come over and get subpar penis from me is just so upsetting. And then the fact that she was upset that we talked about it, like, I don't understand where her head's at. It makes no sense.
Made absolutely no sense.
She made herself the victim in this whole thing, so it's so weird.
How dare you point out the terrible things that I've done and make me feel bad about my own actions? Because look, at the end of the day, we all make mistakes, right? We all do things that we wish we could take back.
Sure.
But it just didn't feel like there was that desire to take accountability for your actions. Because if she was just like, hey, look, y'all can Eiffel Tower me right now, and I'll buy you guys lasagna.
That's a sweet deal.
Yeah, like I feel like that's good repayment,
Yeah.
And then she never paid me back for the window.
Oh, did she not? I didn't know that.
That's not cheap.
No,
Right, no,
it
it
wasn't cheap.
Oh my god.
Do you ever wonder if maybe she like busted her own window? Like
She
just
doesn't
for-
sound sane. No.
No,
I mean-
the amount of obscenities and slurs she was yelling at the top of her lungs in my neighborhood, like that, I don't think she could have faked that.
Would you say that they were
They were definitely targeted towards a group of individuals who did not deserve it.
Who gets that
Yeah.
mad over a broken window anyway? Like
someone who's not mentally sane?
exactly. So that's
Yeah.
what I'm saying. She could have done it herself, and then she was like being dramatic and dramatizing it.
That's so weird. But like,
Both the same words. I don't know.
it is. Yeah. You sound very smart.
Thanks.
Yeah. No, it's just like for her to. You think that's worked for her whole life? For her to be the victim in a circumstance she created? Like the psychology behind it's fascinating.
She obviously wasn't new to it.
Right,
is the
exactly,
thing. Like,
exactly.
It was very tedious and planned
Yes,
out.
yes.
No, and I think that, Lindsay, you're absolutely right. Like, she saw the opportunity to get something that she wanted, and everybody likes to believe that they're the hero in their own story,
100%,
And if something makes them feel bad, it's somebody else's fault. Well, you did this or you did that. And so if I could just offer any advice to our listeners, to the young men, make sure that you are using the same scale to measure yourself that you are measuring other people.
Mm-hmm.
So, if you are mad at somebody for doing something that you do, you need to correct yourself. And also remember the fact that you ain't the only one, Playboy.
That's right. That's right.
And to the young ladies out there,
Mm-hmm. Same.
you got to take care of yourself.
Yeah.
Because I feel that at the end of the day, there's a cycle where a fuck boy fucked over a good girl, and now she's a fuck girl, fucks over a good guy, who becomes a fuck boy, who fucks over a good girl.
It's really not even always that. Like, most of the times they're just shitty fucking girls who are just shitty. Like,
Well, at some point in time,
be more like.
at some point in time,
descriptive.
something happened. Like, we were all born innocent,
Yeah.
And whether it was your parents making you watch shitty non-cable fucking cartoons, or you got that premium fucking Nickelodeon shit,
Yeah.
That premium.
which I didn't have, so that's why
Yeah,
I
exactly,
became a
yeah.
warmonger.
That's right.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, something happens to an individual that causes them to act that the way they do. And I feel that one of the biggest trends that I've noticed is selfishness, where any time that I can honestly look back and be like, I was wrong in this circumstance, it's because I was being selfish.
And I've been doing a lot of reflection on that for me personally, because I have been extremely selfish, honestly. Like, the last 3 to 4 years of my life, and this whole year I've been I've been working, getting over a very mild alcohol disorder. And now that I have such a clear head, I've been thinking back to all the shit I did and the shit I did to other people and how I treated people, and I'm like, I cannot believe I did that. And it sucks to think about that I did it, but it's also good that I'm acknowledging in my head that I did it, because I'm accepting that it was wrong and I shouldn't do it again. Like, it's growing and it's a learning process that I'm going through, and I know a lot of girls and men my age are going through that too, because you don't just mature overnight. It takes time, and a lot of experiences are learning experiences, and a lot of times those experiences suck. So
Very well said, actually. Yeah, for real.
Yay.
yeah, follow up on that one, Daniel.
So I feel that,
Yeah, exactly.
I'm a master bullshitter, okay?
Yeah,
I
yeah,
could.
exactly.
But I think that we're going to go ahead and round out the episode, unless, Mike, you got anything else to add?
Just be good to each other for the love of God. That's it. I'm kind of drunk.
So, I got a very dirty look from Lindsay earlier, because while you were telling your story, I was trying to order wings for the group.
Oh, wow.
And she looked over and saw me on my Fat Kid app.
For the group, you mean you?
Like I said, you can have the celery and the carrots.
Jesus.
You know, it takes more energy to digest celery than it gives.
Exactly. Get them gains, girl. You got a show coming
I
up.
fucking hate you. I really do.
All right. So make sure to check out our merchandise on Smoke Pit or Pop Smoke Media. Why don't I even know my own fucking
Who
website?
are
Yeah,
you?
didn't you? Yeah. What's going on?
Yeah, make sure you also follow us on Instagram, Smoke Pit Podcast. Also, check us out on Facebook and YouTube, or whatever correlating platform you're not currently on.
Right.
We appreciate all your love and support. Make sure to check out our sponsors, Come Back Home Over, with amazing hair products and beard oil and pomade. Use our discount code
Cream pie.
Cream Pie to save yourself some money. Also, check out StrikeForceEnergy.com. Little liquid packets that go into your beer, your tea, your water, whatever you'd like, your butthole if you're that adventurous. Use our promo code SMOKEPIT to save yourself some money. Also, check out VictorAlphaClothing.com. Fantastic veteran apparel clothing line that donates a lot of profits back to charities. Bye.
Bye.